Welcome back to Manzoor's EVS tutorials. Today our topic is ecological succession. In ecological succession, one community is being replaced by another community, which in turn is being replaced by some other community till a climax community is reached. This climax community, it is in equilibrium with the climatic conditions, with the environmental conditions of an area. This community, it is group of species of living or of plants and animals. So one group of this community, one community, it is being replaced by another community till we reach a climax community, and this climax community, it is in equilibrium with climate, with environmental conditions. So we can say ecological succession is orderly replacement of one community by another community in the same area over a period of time. The first community which invades the area is called pioneer community, or pioneer species is called pioneer community. Pioneer. The last community which occupies the area and which is in equilibrium with the climate, with the environmental conditions of the area, is called climax community. This or climax stage, the stage between pioneer and this climax stage, or pioneer community and climax community, are called a series. These are called series or developmental stages. So pioneer community is the community which is the first community which invades the area. Climax is the last one, and the developmental stages between pioneer and climax community are called series or developmental stages. First, this term ecological succession, it was first used by Holt in 1885 while studying the communities in southern Sweden. Authentic studies on succession were carried out by Cowles in America. This is very important point. Sometimes this might be asked in your examination. This Culminates has put forth various principles which govern the process of succession. Odom has preferred to call this ecological succession as development. So Odom calls this ecological succession as ecosystem development. As per Odom, this ecosystem development, it occurs in three steps. First is it is orderly process of ecosystem development, which means this ecological succession, it is unidirectional and it can be predicted, and it is progressive. It goes in one direction only, as per Odom. Second is it results from modification of physical environment by the community. So Odom says the community, it modifies the physical environment. It modifies the physical environment in such a way that this environment, it no longer remains favorable for this species. For example, pioneer species, these species, they live in very harsh conditions, but when they live in this area, when they occupy some area, they add organic matter, they enhance the water holding capacity of the area, they decrease the diurnal or biurinal change in temperature, or the maximum and minimum temperature, the difference between maximum and minimum it is also reduced. So they improve the environmental conditions of the area, but these improved environmental conditions, they are not favorable for this species. So this species gets eliminated from this area because of by themselves. Such is succession is called autogenic succession. Third important point, it culminates in a stabilized ecosystem. So ecological succession, it forms stable ecosystem where a climax community is formed, and this climax community, it is in equilibrium with climatic conditions, with environmental conditions of an area. Now moving to causes of succession. There are three important causes of succession: initial causes, These cases are continuing causes and stabilizing causes. Initial causes, these can be biotic factors, different biotic factors, or these can be climatic factors, which either which either remove the vegetation of the area, destroy the vegetation of the area, or they do not let the vegetation of an area to grow. So either there is no vegetation present in this area because of very harsh conditions, or the vegetation which were present in this area has been destroyed. So in nutshell, there is no vegetation in this area where this process of succession would start. Cases or continuing causes. Cases or continuing causes, it occurs via different factors. For example, first factor is migration. The different spores, seeds and granules of the plant, they move to some new area and they propagate over there. Second important thing is cases and development. These plants or these seeds or spores or granules, they establish themselves in this new area. This is called cases or establishment into some new area. Then the aggregation occurs. In aggregation, these species, they grow, they increase their number through reproduction. Then the competition, when the number increases, then the competition sets in between these individuals or between these species for space and nutrition. Individuals of a species, they affect each other's life in various ways, and this is called coaction. So competition and coaction occurs. Competition for space and nutrition, coaction because they affect each other's life, which we call coaction. Then the reaction, this community as a whole, all these plants and animal species, they improve the condition of they improve the physical environment, which we call reaction. So reaction of this community is improved or enhanced physical environment. So organic material content in this increases, or water holding content increases, nutrient content is good. So it enhanced environmental conditions are there. Now these stabilizing factors. In the climate is mostly the climate is the major stabilizing factors. Besides climate, other factors can also stabilizing factors like edaphic factors. In stabilizing factors, in the end, a climax community is formed over there. This climax community, it is in equilibrium with the environmental conditions of the area. Now, types of succession. There are different types of succession. First is primary succession. This primary succession, we can say it is a type of succession which starts in an area or which occurs in an area which has previously been unoccupied by any type of vegetation. So it occurs in those areas which were devoid of any type of vegetation earlier. So primary succession occurs in primitive areas. So in these areas, first time some vegetation is coming up. Secondary succession occurs in those areas which were earlier occupied by some vegetation, then got destroyed due to different factors, due maybe some climatic or some biotic factors, and now these areas do not contain any vegetation. When the succession occurs in these areas, we call secondary succession. So secondary succession is a succession which occurs in those areas which were previously occupied by some which previously contained some vegetation, but this vegetation has got destroyed. This secondary succession occurs faster than primary succession because in these areas some amount of organic matter is already present over there. Autogedic succession. We are having in autogenic succession, the community itself is getting replaced because the community itself the community themselves is responsible for it is replacement. For example, we are having some community, and this community, it is making conditions very favorable, it is making conditions very good, very conducive, and but these conducive are very favorable conditions, they are not conducive for these species, so they get eliminated and some other species moves into this area. For example, we are having community A. This community A enhances or improves the physical environmental conditions, and these improved physical environmental conditions are not good for this species, this species A. So this community A is getting replaced because of itself, because it improved the environmental conditions. So in now next allogenic succession. In allogenic succession, external factors are responsible for the succession. So when the external factors are responsible for the succession, we call it allogenic succession. And we can say in autogenic succession, internal factors or they themselves are responsible for their replacement. Autotrophic succession. In autotrophic succession, the area is predominated by autotrophs. Mostly the autotrophs are present over there. In such succession occurs in areas where enormous inorganic substances or nutrients are present. So gradually the organic matter increases in these areas. Heterotrophic succession. Heterotrophic succession is characterized by dominance of heterotrophs such as bacteria, actinomycetes, fungi and some other animals. It occurs in an environment which is predominated by where the organic material or organic substances are already present. So in autotrophic succession, in autotrophic succession, inorganic substances were present in the environment, and in heterotrophic succession, organic substances were present in the environment. In heterotrophic succession, the organic matter it slowly falls up, or it slowly decreases. Sometimes the succession is present sometimes this process succession is named depending on where the succession has started. For example, if the succession starts in water body, we call it HYDROSERE or hydrac succession. If the succession starts in land, we call it gneiss succession. If succession starts on dry soil or dry side, we call it XEROSERE or xerox succession. If succession starts on rock only, we call it lithosere. If succession starts on sand, we call it samosere. If succession starts in saline water or saline soil, we call it halosere. Now moving to next slide. Now we'll study HYDROSERE or hydrac succession. This HYDROSERE or hydrac succession, it starts in water. It can start in pond, it can start in some lake, or it can start in some pool. Here we will study HYDROSERE or succession which starts in pond. This succession, it has different phases. First phase of this succession is Phytoplankton Stage. So it is HYDROSERE succession is succession which starts in water. Here we are studying HYDROSERE in a pond. So this is HYDROSERE this is succession which has started in a pond. The first stage of this HYDROSERE succession is Phytoplankton Stage. In this Phytoplankton stage, different this blue-green algae, green diatoms and bacteria are the first organisms that colonize the area. that colonize the pond, or here in this case. So phytoplanktons like green algae, diatoms, and bacteria, they are the first organisms to colonize this pond or colonize this area. So we can say these are the this pioneer community, this phytoplankton. These now second species which occur, these phytoplankton species, when they die, they enhance the organic matter content of the soil. They enhance the organic matter content of the sediment. They enhance the organic matter content of the sediment, and they also make the pond somewhat shallower because of the decomposition of because of the accumulation of this phytoplanktons on the sediments. It got shallower, so it is water level, it decreased a bit. Second important phase is rooted submerged stage. In this stage, some submerged plants, some plants which are rooted, they emerge, because now the conditions have become favorable for these rooted submerged plants. The species of this myrophyllum, Hydrilla, Vallisneria, Utricularia, they emerged in this rooted submerged stage. Now after this rooted submerged stage, after this rooted submerged stage, rooted floating stage occurs. In this rooted floating stage, different species of plants like Nilambo, Nymphia, Trepa, Monocoria, they emerged in these areas. These plants were having large leaves, and these leaves, they were floating over the water. And besides, in the rooted floating stage, some free floating plants also emerged like Azolla, Lemnia, Wolfia, Pistia. In this stage, what happened, though this pond, it became more shallower, and more oxygen, more this sunlight was able to reach the pond as it was becoming more and more shallower. Now the fourth stage is reed swamp stage. This reed swamp stage, it is also known as an amphibious stage, as the plants of community are rooted, but most parts of these plants are exposed to air. So reed swamp stage, it is also called amphibious stage. So this reed swamp stage, it is also called amphibious stage. So which among these stages in HYDROSERE is amphibious stage? Reed swamp stage. The species of plants which emerge in this area are in this stage are the Scirphus, Typha, Sagittaria, Fragmentus, etc. After this, in this root stage, reed swamp stage, the water level has reduced now very much, and finally it has become unsuitable for the growth of these amphibious species. So in these stages, what is happening? Autogenic succession is happening. These species, they are making the environment, they are making the environmental conditions unsuitable for themselves, so they are getting replaced by some other species. After this Sag Middle Stage, so fifth stage is Sag Middle Stage. In this Sag Middle Stage, different species of Carex, Jankus, and Cypress emerge in the colonize these ponds. These plants, they are having very thick mat-like vegetation. these plants, Caracas, Genica, Cypress, they form the very rich mat-like vegetation. They are having very branched rhizomes, and transpiration rate it also increases very much, which makes the water, which makes these ponds very shallow, very shallow. So now the conditions are almost becoming suitable for some tree species to come up. Now next, moving to next slide. Now woodland stage. In this woodland stage, populous Salix ulmus species they come up, because mostly now this now this now this these ponds they have become drier, and there is sufficient land present to sufficient land present or sufficient land present for most of the year. So it is invaded by some terrestrial plants like Populus, Salix, Ulmus, etc. After this forest stage, seventh stage is forest stage. In this forest stage, in tropical areas, tropical rainforests come up. In temperate areas, mixed forests up. Ulmus, Acer, Quercus come up. So this is what happens in this hydrosere or hydraic succession. So in hydrosere or hydraic succession, what happened? From phytoplankton stage we have reached this forest stage, and these forests it is climax stage. If the climatic areas, climatic conditions are tropic, then tropic rainforests would come up, and if the climatic conditions are temperate, then the mixed forests of Ulmus, Acer, and Quercus would come up. And this forest stage is climax stage, means these forests they are in equilibrium with the environmental conditions, and these forests would remain there over a long period of time, because they are in equilibrium with the environmental conditions, so they won't change over long period of time. So thank you. So with this we have studied what is succession, and we have studied hydraic and zero succession. In our next lecture we would be studying zero seer succession. Thank you.